Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Summer. I want to share this story. It's very heavy on my heart, but I just felt like, you know what, I want to share it. Some time ago, I came across this video. If you look, you will see the one at the middle on the right hand side where this woman is at the graveyard, and there was a video, I can't even find it now, where she talked about trying to find her daughter's grave and stuff like that. I just looked at it. I was like, hey, yeah, I wanted to kind of know what happened, but that video didn't say anything about what happened to the child. And it's one of those things you see on Facebook. You just kind of, okay, you watch it and you moved on and you move on. And then then this morning, I came across another video. This time around, you see the one at the bottom where she's wearing white, but I saw it covered or posted by somebody else. I just came across it on Facebook and I listened to the story. I'm going to let you guys listen to the story. And as I was listening to this story, I was like, wait a minute. I know this woman. I remember this story. This woman contacted me and I decided to go to my messages, and then I found it. That was when I really felt like breaking down. This woman reached out to me about her story. And I'll show you guys this part. Went and I searched the name. And as soon as I was like, the name that I saw on those blogs that are talking about it, I just searched only the first name, Dorothy. And boom, this came up. I was like, I am right. It's the same person. This is the message she sent me, July 2022. First, listen to her story that is going viral now, and I'll come back and share what she told me in 2022.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Dorothy Ijoma, and I'm here to tell my story. I have the story already on YouTube and Facebook, but I want to put it in Twitter and other platforms because it's a very important story of my life that I want to, keep afresh, and I also want people to hear it so they can learn from my mistakes or from, what happened to me in the story. So we're going to start right now. Like I said before, my name is Dorothy Ijoma, and I am here in the US. I came to the US in the year 2002, though I previously visited US and then go back after some months. But in 2002, I had gotten married in Togo to my husband, then husband. And soon as we got married, he wanted us to come to the US for honeymoon and just to see how the place is and go back. That was the initial plan. And I believed him because he had a business back home that I thought he wouldn't want to lose or miss. So I I believed that we were going to come and just go back home like I normally do. So after our traditional marriage and everything, we both traveled to America. I came in first. And I remember when I was coming, he told me before I left, he said, when you get to America, don't interact with anybody that says that they are my family. I don't have any family there. So that kind of felt weird and strange to me. But I believed him. He was, he was a good person at that point. So I believed everything he said. So when I got to America and I went to where I used to rent then from a Nigerian couple, we were just talking one evening, and the lady said, "Oh, by the way, do you know that your husband has a brother in Baltimore?" I said, "My husband has a brother in Baltimore." She said, "Yes, he has a brother in Baltimore." So, like I was saying, I was shocked when I heard that he had a brother here. So I became curious and I asked my landlord, the Nigerian man, to please take me to the place if he knows where he lives. He said, "Oh, yeah, we're good friends. We went to college together. So I can take you there." So one evening, he made a call to the man. He said, "Oh, your brother got married in Nigeria, yeah?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Okay, his wife is here and she would like to see you." And the man was so excited over the phone. He said, "Oh, let me come. Let me just come and see her. Let me just come." So the next day, he drove down to Upper Marlborough, where I lived then. Well, I still live in Upper Marlborough, but he drove down to the place I used to stay then. And it was a very beautiful meeting. I mean, he was so excited. He was so happy. He said, "Oh yeah, we heard you got married," and he got married, and we're so excited, and we welcome you to the family. Blah 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 blah. I was so surprised. I was surprised that my husband could even keep this type of secret from me. So I called him that day, or when he called, I spoke to him, and I'm like, "I heard you have a brother here." He said, "Yes, don't go to them. Don't go to them. Don't talk to them. They're evil. They're evil." I said, "Okay," but that made me more curious. So that weekend, I called the man. I said, "I wanted to come. I want to come and see you in Baltimore." So he actually drove down and took me to his house. His wife was excited. They have a daughter, and everybody was so happy that I was there. I spent that night, and I came back the next night. And when I came back, I spoke to my husband. I said, "Well, I met your brother. Why would you even lie to me about your brother?" He said, "Well, they're not good. He's been in America for more than 40 years. He doesn't come home, and he doesn't do anything for people at home. So we don't really." I said, "That doesn't mean that you have to hide the fact that you have a brother from me." So we had that argument, and then it was a very short argument. He apologized and everything. So a few weeks later, when he was coming,
if you're coming across me for the first time and you do not know, my name is Soma Akko. I'm a Nigerian that lived abroad for many years and visited Nigeria for the first time in a long time and fell in love with Nigeria and shared my Japada story. And as we speak, I now own a shortlet and I'm very close to the airport. If you're coming into Nigeria, you need somewhere to stay, contact me, the number on the screen. If you want to stay in my shortlet, it's going to be the cleanest shortlet you've ever been in. I'm not bragging, it's a statement of fact. There are people that have booked me. They actually have houses in Lagos, but when they landed, maybe it's 11 at night or 12 at night or too late at night, they don't want to go home that night. They want to stay in my shortlet because I'm close to the airport, and then they go home in the morning. You understand? So we actually also help people to organize airport pickups. And why that is good is this: the fact that I know who I sent to go pick you up. I wouldn't send someone that I do not trust, you understand, or someone that I feel like is not traceable. So this is the estate where my shortlet is. Guys, I'm telling you guys, especially Nigerians abroad that have this terrible image of Nigeria. Not all, some people. So when some of them have come to stay in my shortlet, they're like, wow. They're like, this will even 5 abroad. You understand? So it's important. Not just choose any shortlet. Make sure you choose a shortlet in a nice neighborhood, in a safe neighborhood, in a clean neighborhood. No all this lousy, noisy neighborhood. Very peaceful neighborhood. In this estate, you can go for a walk even at night if you want, because it is that safe. There are actually a lot of foreigners that stay in this estate, and you see them walking around comfortably. Contact our WhatsApp number now to book.
remember I said I came first because he had to tidy up some things back home. He said his goods just came, so he had to, try to sell some, and then, try to put things together with his boys before coming. So he was done with all that, and it was time for him to come and meet me. So he called me 2 nights to his arrival and said, "You know what? I'm not coming to where you are. I'm going to go straight to my brother." And I'm like, "I thought you said they are bad people." He said, "Don't worry, we're trying to reconcile. I'm going to go to them. So when I get to Baltimore, I'll let you know." I said, "Okay." So true to his words, he got to Baltimore and I went there. When I got there, his brother was like, "Since you people don't have a permanent place to stay, since you're just renting, can you just spend some time with us? Let's just get to know each other better and things like that." And I was like, "Okay," because me, I'm an open book. I flow with any flow. But, I've learned my lesson, and I've really learned it in a very hard way. So we stayed for a few days, and then I insisted we'll come back. So we came back to where I was renting here in Upper Marlborough, and his brother kept calling. He would call every minute of the day to talk to him and things like that. And this went on for like a week. Then he told me, "Oh, my brother is trying to get me a job." I said, "A job? We're supposed to come and just go." He said, "No, one of my cousin is a manager in KFC. They're going to try to slot me in there to work for a while, while we're here, so that we can have enough money to go home." that didn't really sound okay to me, because I know money was not our problem at that point. He was doing very well at home, and I had a very good job, so money was not really the problem. But he insisted he wanted to stay back so he can make some money. As a new wife, I had to obey him, because I didn't really have any reason to doubt him at that point. So the sister or the cousin would come and pick him up on. She always pick him up on Sunday evening, and when she comes, guys, you need to see the way this lady behaves. She wouldn't even come to the place where she wouldn't come inside. She would be outside blaring her horn, like, "Come out, let's go, let's go, let's go." She picks him up on Sundays at around 4 3 p.m., and then she drops him off on Saturday night around 11 p.m. Did you hear what I just said? She'll pick him up on Sunday evening around 3 p.m., sometimes even earlier than that. And then she would drop him back up on Sunday, the next week Sunday. She would drop him on Friday, the next week Friday, um, around 11 p.m. So I was just barely spending 5 6 hours with my husband for all that period of time, and it went on for like 2 3 months. I didn't really bother myself. I didn't really complain. I was just like, it's okay, it's all right. I'll wait until we're ready to go back. So this continued, and then suddenly he called me and said, my brother wants you to come over so we can have a meeting. And I was like, okay, when are you coming home? He said he won't be able to come home this weekend. I should just come. I said, no, let's put it to next week. When she drops you off next week, maybe I'll come. I'll follow you on that Sunday for the meeting. And that was what we did. So we got to this meeting. I got to the brother's house, and he said the meeting was not holding in his house, but the meeting will be holding in Maryland, in Hyattsville. And I'm like, okay. So we all drove from there to Maryland. When we got to the house, it's a pretty big house, a house that was able to fit more than 50 people. Is pretty big. I mean, their living room was big, and people, I just came in and I saw a lot of people. And because it was a Sunday, I thought maybe they're just there for get together, and they're there for just sharing things together. I didn't know the meeting was because of me. So everybody sat down in this semicircle kind of sitting, and I was at the last edge. I was at the edge of the chair, and my husband was sitting right beside me. So they started the meeting. The oldest man in their family, then, that man was in his late 60s at that time. He should be close to 80 now, but I've not seen him for 22 years. I've not seen them. So this elderly man, the oldest man, stood up and was like, "Oh, thank you very much for bringing our brother to America. Really appreciate your effort, because I got him the visa, because I was affiliated with the American embassy. So getting a visa was nothing." So he was like, "Thank you for bringing our brother. We've been trying to bring him all this while, but we couldn't. So we really appreciate you bringing him." And then everybody was clapping and, talking to me. I was smiling and just trying to be nice to everybody. So he said, "Okay, well, we thank you, but the thing is that your marriage is going to be over today." Yeah, this man said my marriage was going to be over that day. And I couldn't put anything, I couldn't believe him. I was like, okay, maybe this is a joke. And he repeated himself. And I looked at my husband, who was sitting right beside me. I was like, "Are you hearing your brother? Are you hearing what he's saying?" And to my surprise, my husband just started drinking his life away. He was just pouring drinks in a cup. He would pour the cup and he would drink and he would pour more. He was just drinking and drinking. And this is a man that never drank. He was a deacon in the church when I met him in Togo. So we were Christians to the core. So I never saw him drink anything alcoholic. But that day, as soon as we got to that gathering, he started serving himself from the drinks that he presented. He was just drinking and drinking. I was like, "Why are you drinking?" He just kept drinking, and it got to a point he became drunk. So I guess he tried to drink to to numb himself from anything happening. So he was drunk. So at that point, he was useless to me. So I was just talking to the people. I was like, what is going on? What did I do? What happened? They said, well, one, you are older than him, which is a lie. Guys, if I show you the picture of this man now, I am 57, by the way, almost 57. And he is 58, 59. If you see him now, you will see the difference in our age. So that day they said, "Oh, you are older than him, and you already have a child." Because I was married once. Said you already have a child, so we feel it's a deception. I said, "What are you talking about? Your brother asked me to marry him. He pursued me for more than a year before I could even let him talk to me about marriage. He pursued me before I could even let him into my house, to visit like he wanted to. He pursued me through my parents, because he would, whenever my parents visited me in Togo, he would come and entertain them, take them out and things. And once he started talking to them about marriage, they felt like I should just marry him. And to me, he was a good person, so why wouldn't I marry somebody like that? And their story of him being older than me was so strange. But what do I do? What can I do? Or what could I have done at that point? So I was just asking them. I said, please, what is going on? I said, what is really going on? They said, well, we just told you the marriage is over. So we're going to be taking our brother from here to where we're going to situate him so he can get his green card and live his life. So we release you and we permit you to go on with your life. Whew. That was a big blow that day. I was just crying.
I have a weight loss program. In case you're coming across this and you want to sign up, I'm going to put the link in the description box and in the comment section. And if you want to Google it, it's summerhealthyweightloss.com, because it's not just about losing weight, but losing it in a healthy way. It's important. Be careful. I've been saying it. I've been doing this disclaimer. If you do not have the discipline to stop when you reach the ideal weight, please do not do it, because you're going to lose too much weight. You don't have to starve. You don't have to go to the gym. It will blow your mind. So it's summerhealthyweightloss.com. That is my website.
I was crying and looking at my husband. He was useless. He was useless, totally useless. He was just drinking. So I went to the oldest woman there, a woman in her 60s too. And I knelt down. She was sitting. I knelt in front of her and I held onto her legs. I said, Mama, what is going on? What did they say I did? What did I do? She said, my dear, I don't have any say about this. The men have spoken, so you just have to leave. And that was when I started shouting and crying, calling on my mother. Mama, help me. What is this? And this old woman told me, said, your mother is millions of miles away and she cannot hear you. So just take hold of yourself and leave. I was still crying anyway. I was on the floor that time crying. That's what I told them. I said, look, I'm about 2 months pregnant. What do I do? They say, give the child to your father. That's a good thing. We heard your father don't have a lot of children. So give this child to your father, but you're not going to tie our brother up with any pregnancy. We're taking him today. I went back to the old woman. She said the same thing she said. And I was just crying and crying. And my husband's sister-in-law came to me and said, we're sorry for what is going on, but my hands are tied. There's nothing I can do. So we're going for a baby shower. Do you want us to drop you off? I said, yes. She said, okay, you know what? We can't even drop you off. You have to wait for the baby shower to end, and then we will drop you off after the baby shower. I said, okay. So they took me in their car and they drove me to the baby shower. And I didn't want to go in because I was looking horrible, crying for hours. I was just looking terrible. And I stayed in their car. Everybody knows how long it takes to have a baby shower and go back. That was the initial plan. And I believed him because he had a business back home that I thought he wouldn't want to lose or miss. So I I believed that we were going to come and just go back home like I normally do. So after our traditional marriage and everything, we both traveled to America. I came in first. And I remember when I was coming, he told me before I left, he said, when you get to America, don't interact with anybody that says that they're my family. I don't have any family there. So that kind of felt weird and strange to me. But I believed him. He was, I mean, he was a good person at that point. So I believed everything he said. So when I got to America and I went to where I used to rent then from a Nigerian couple, we were just talking one evening and the lady said, "Oh, by the way, do you know that your husband has a brother in Baltimore?" I said, "My husband has a brother in Baltimore." She said, "Yes, he has a brother in Baltimore." So, like I was saying, I was shocked when I heard that he had a brother here. So I became curious and I asked my landlord, the Nigerian man, to please take me to the place if he knows where he lives. He said, "Oh yeah, we're good friends. We went to college together." So that kind of gave me a little bit of comfort. I said, "Okay, maybe he'll come back." But it was terrible. It was horrible. Um, a few days later, I realized that I have some of my suitcase in that house, in their house in Baltimore, because they invited me to come stay there. So I had my suitcase with my clothes inside. So I called them and I said I wanted to come pick up my suitcase, and they told me, "No, you can't touch anything. You can't even come into this house. Our brother." They stopped calling him my husband. "Our brother will bring your clothes to you whenever he visits." And I said, "No, I need those clothes. I need them. I need to wash them." And they refused. So, fortunately, or should I say unfortunately, my husband called like about 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, and he was like, "I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry. Everything was under the influence of alcohol." I said, when did you even start drinking?" So, they came back into the car and they took me back to where I lived. They dropped me off. My husband was not in that car. He had already gone with the people taking him to wherever they said they were taking him to. And I got back. I just went into the room and I was like, what just happened? And my husband's clothes were still in the closet. His things were still lying everywhere. He was able to take out some clothes without my knowledge, but most of the things were still there. So that kind of gave me a little bit of comfort. I said, okay, maybe he'll come back. But it was terrible. It was horrible. Um, a few days later, I realized that I have some of my suitcase in that house, in their house in Baltimore, because they invited me to come stay there. So I had my suitcase with my clothes inside. So I called them and I said I wanted to come pick up my suitcase, and they told me, "No, you can't touch anything. You can't even come into this house. Our brother." They stopped calling him my husband. "Our brother will bring your clothes to you whenever he visits." And I said, "No, I need those clothes. I need them. I need to wash them." And they refused. So, fortunately, or should I say unfortunately, my husband called like about 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, and he was like, "I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry. Everything was under the influence of alcohol." I said, when did you even start drinking? What was the reason for that drink that day? What were you drinking that day? He said, "No, it's just, I was just stressed. My brothers have said a lot to me and I didn't want to know how to face you. So that I just had to do that to." I said, "Anyways, I want to go pick up my clothes from your brothers." And they said, "I can't come. So are you coming this way? Can you bring my clothes to me?" He said, "Okay, yes, I'll bring your clothes." So he went there and got the clothes together and told me he was there. I should go pick them up. So I went there and I was able to pick up my suitcases and I came back to my rented place. So, like a couple of weeks later, he called me. He said, "You know what? I'm really, really sorry for what I did. I feel so bad, and I want us to just come back together. Just forget whatever happened. I'm sorry. And when I come back this time."
I know that I'm shortless.
I know damn shortlist. I know damn shortlist. Best accommodation in the Díed. Best accommodation in the Díed. I know damn shortlist. I know damn shortlist. I know damn shortlist. Best accommodation in the Díed. Best accommodation in the Díed. Beautiful home. I know damn shortly. I know damn shortly. We pick you up from the airport. I know damn shortly. We show you around town. I know damn shortly. Yeah, we got you. I know damn shortly. I know damn shortly. I know damn shortly. I know damn shortly. Best accommodation in the Díed. Check in, check out, check out, check. Loyalty and royalty, best of the best. All the hosts stay under duress. Charlotte's under stress. Say less.
We're going to just stay on our own. No more connection with our family. We have nothing to do with them. We'll stay for the few weeks left and we'll go back. That sounded like a plan, a good one. So I accepted. So a few days later, he came back and he was all apologetic and so was like pleading and begging. And I believe that he was back for good. But few days after, he started telling me, "Oh, I want to go back to Togo to just go pick up some stuff and then talk to the boys and rearrange the business." And I said, "No, we have like few weeks to go back. So why don't you go back at the same time? Okay, let's just go back now. If you feel like you need to go home, let's just go." Then I still have like maybe we were there for like this was like 3 months after we got there, so we still have like 3 months more on the visa. But it was a 3 years visa for me. He had 5 years business visa, so he had a lot of time. But just for that period of stay, we only have like 6 months. So I said, "Okay, when are you going?" He said, "Oh, I'm going next week." So next week came and the D-Day came. And the stupid thing I did then was I didn't even ask for to show me his tickets or anything. I am this type of woman that doesn't really look at anything. I can be friends with a man, I can have a relationship, and I will for 20 years and I will not touch the man's phone. Up to now, I don't touch anybody's phone. I don't touch phones. Even my children's phones. You know how parents will go into the children's phones and start looking and searching? I don't, because I don't want to see what will hurt me. So I don't search even my children's phones. So I don't ask a lot of questions either. I'm saying this so that people will learn. I never asked questions. So immediately he said he was going home. I said, "Okay." I didn't ask, "Show me your ticket." I didn't say anything. So that day, he said his flight was in the afternoon. And then I had started going to somewhere in the mornings. I was bored at home. So I used to go to my friend's place. My friend had a braiding store. I used to go there and while away my time and also braid because I knew how to braid. And I also had a small thing I was managing on the side. So I was going to go to work that day. So I said, "Do you want me to, just call off and see you to the airport?" He said, "No, no, 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 don't worry. If you miss the day's pay, is going to affect." He just gave one stupid excuse, which should have woken me up that day, but I took it as it's nothing. So I said, "Which suitcase do you want and what do you want me to pack?" He said, "Oh, just pack me one shirt, one pant, underwear, boxer, and maybe one singlet and maybe a pair of shoes." I said, "Okay." That was what I did. I packed these things into the smallest suitcase in the house, and we bade ourselves goodbye, and I left for where I was going to. I came back in the evening, and once I opened the door, I knew something had happened. As soon as I opened the door, everything that belonged to him was gone. Gone. So, what happened is that this man came back so he could pack his things. So, I was so confused. I checked everything was gone, down to flip flops. Everything was gone. Toothbrush, everything gone. I said, "Okay." So, back then in 2002, making calls was not that easy. So you have to use a calling card and all that stuff. So I just waited for him to call me. So eventually, after a few days, he called me and I said, "What happened? Why did you pack all your stuff?" He said, "Oh, I packed them because I felt like when I get to Togo, I'll just give them to people and come back. When I come back, I can buy more things before we come back, go back." And that sounded okay to me. Once again, ladies, men, learn. So it sounded okay to me. So I said, okay. And he stayed back for like a month, two, three, four, five. And I kept asking him. At a point, at a point during this time, I fell sick from that pregnancy. I felt very sick. And I was diagnosed, and I should say it's mixed diagnosis, but I was diagnosed then. The doctor told me I had cancer. So towards that time, I was waiting for him. I fell ill, so I had to go to the doctor. And with this announcement, I decided to extend my visa so that I can at least take care of myself here before I went back home. So he telling me that he was going to stay back was not a problem to me. So I told him about the problem I had, and he was like, "Everything is going to be okay. When I come back, we'll go back. Just make sure you take all your treatments so that everything will be fine." I said, "Okay." So I waited and waited. Towards the 7th month of my pregnancy, I became very, very sick again. And I went back to the doctor again. And it was the same thing. It was at that point they were telling me, um, "Ma'am, do you have any family here who can keep this baby for you? Because it seems that you're going to be going to the hospital for treatment after the baby is born. So start to make arrangements because we don't think you can take care of the baby with with the treatment and everything." So I went back to these people that I used to live with because by then I had left their house. That's the story for another day. I had moved up from that place, but I still kept in touch. So I called them and I said, "This is what is going on. I need someone to help me. Can you help me?" She said, "Oh, no, she can't." And I started asking everybody that I knew. I'm new in America. I mean, I was new, so I didn't know much people. It got to a point I started going to the African store. I would stand at the door and I would see random couple. My target then was elderly people. So I'll see elderly people and I'll go to them and I'll tell them my story. My husband is gone back and I'm sick. I'm going to be delivering this baby soon, and this is what the doctors are suggesting. I'm just looking for a Nigerian couple who can hold on to this baby. Excuse me. And the question everybody always asked was, "Where is your husband?" And I told them he went home. He'll soon be back, but I don't know when he's going to be back. It's like I'm almost due. He's not here, so I'm trying to make plans in case I give birth before he comes back. Nobody was willing to help me. Um, One day I was braiding a lady's hair, and she said, "Oh, I have this flyer to share," because she knew I was a new person in America and I may need immigration, you know, um, immigration, whatever. So she said, "Oh, there's this flyer. This is a lawyer. He's an immigration lawyer. In case you have immigration problem, he's a very good person. Blah blah blah." And they gave me a flyer. When I looked at the flyer, it was a Nigerian man, um, and all the everything written about him seemed okay. I said, "Okay, let me just go and do the extension." So that was what took me to this Nigerian lawyer. And when I got there, I paid him. I used to say in my former story that it was 650, but I saw the check. Then those days when you pay somebody with check, the check will come back to you. So I saw the check a few weeks ago when I was cleaning up, and the check is, I think it was for 300, but I paid him 150. That was the check I saw, and then I couldn't find the second check. So
if you're coming across me for the first time and you do not know, my name is Soma Ako. I'm a Nigerian that lived abroad for many years and visited Nigeria for the first time in a long time and fell in love with Nigeria and shared my Japada story. And as we speak, I now own a shortlet and I'm very close to the airport. If you're coming into Nigeria, you need somewhere to stay, contact me, the number on the screen. If you want to stay in my shortlet, it's going to be the cleanest shortlet you've ever been in. I'm not bragging, it's a statement of fact. There are people that have booked me. They actually have houses in Lagos, but when they landed, maybe it's 11 at night or 12 at night or too late at night, they don't want to go home that night. They want to stay in my shortlet because I'm close to the airport, and then they go home in the morning. You understand? So we actually also help people to organize airport pickups. And why that is good is this: the fact that I know who I sent to go pick you up. I wouldn't send someone that I do not trust, you understand, or someone that I feel like is not traceable. So this is the estate where my shortlet is. Guys, I'm telling you guys, especially Nigerians abroad that have this terrible image of Nigeria. Not all, some people. So when some of them have come to stay in my shortlet, they are like, wow. They are like, this will even fly past abroad. You understand? So it's important. Not just choose any shortlet. Make sure you choose a shortlet in a nice neighborhood, in a safe neighborhood, in a clean neighborhood. No all this lousy, noisy neighborhood. Very peaceful neighborhood. In this estate, you can go for a walk even at night if you want, because it is that safe. There are actually a lot of foreigners that stay in this estate, and you see them walking around comfortably. Contact our WhatsApp number now to book.
So I made two payments because I paid him 150 that day, and I told him I was going to balance up in 2 weeks, and it was okay with him. And after 2 weeks, I paid him. So after my extension came through, this man suddenly showed up in my house one evening around 7:30 p.m. Somebody knocked. I was renting this house from a Chinese man. We were like 5 tenants in there. I was the only woman, and most of the men go to work at night. So most of the evenings I'm alone in the house. So I heard the doorbell. I went to look at the door and I saw him standing. I couldn't recognize him because this was like after over 3 months of doing my extension. So I couldn't recognize who it was. And then he said, "Oh, you don't remember me?" He said, I said, "Oh, yes, I remember you now. How are you, sir?" And we exchanged pleasantries, and he came into the house. We talked, and I was like, "How did you even know here?" He said, "Oh, you forgot that I did your extension, so I know your address." And that was a red flag. I should have just cut this man off at that point, because how would you just visit someone without even calling the person that you're coming? But anyways, being me, I accepted it. I just let it go. And he spent few minutes, I think about 45 minutes or an hour. We had a long chat. We just talked about everything, and he left. That was the first visit. After that, we started talking on the phone. And when this pressure from my doctors became much, I decided to confide in him. And he was like, "Oh, I didn't even know you were pregnant," because then nobody would know I was pregnant. I was just, you would just think I'm just like that. I'm just big. So, "Oh, I didn't know." I say, "Yes, I'm pregnant, and I'm married, and this and this and this." So, "Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know." I say, "Yes. But this is the situation I'm in right now. I need a Nigerian couple that can to help me take care of my baby. I've been looking for people, but I don't know much people. So since you've been here for a long time, can you find someone that can help me when I have the baby, so the baby can stay with them until I'm back from the hospital for my treatment?" He said, "Okay, I'll think about. I'll look around for it." And some weeks later, he called me, and he was like, "First of all, let me ask you about your husband. Do you have his passport number?" I said yes. And I gave him over the phone. And he called me back I think few days later. And he was like, "Your husband never traveled to Nigeria or Togo. Your husband is still here in the US." And he gave me the address of where my husband was staying. He gave me the telephone number. And I was asked, I said, "How did you know all this?" He said, "Because after you told me your story, I had to research, and this is what I found out." And I'm like, "Okay." So he said, "If you don't mind, maybe one of these days, if you can come to the office, we'll put a call through to him, and let's see what he has to say." And I didn't know what this man was doing at this time. This man was trying to secure the bag. He was trying to make sure that my husband was really out of my life. He was trying to make sure that, he could, manipulate and, just get into me without my suspicion. So, I went to his office few days down the line, like a day or two down the line, because I was eager to find out these things. So we put a call through to my husband through the number he provided, and True to the fact, my husband picked up the phone. It was his voice, no doubt about that. And he said, "We're looking for so and so person. Is this so and so person?" And immediately he changed his voice. "No, that's not him. That's not him." And that was when I chipped in. I said, "Is that not you?" I said, "Is that the Togo you're supposed to be in?" I said, "What is really going on? Why are you still in America? And where are you?" And he quickly turned off the phone. He hung up. We tried calling back. He never picked up again. You know why he didn't want to talk? Because his family already linked him up with a lady who was going to do his immigration stuff. So he didn't want any connection again with me whatsoever. He didn't want to talk to me or anything. So that's why he quickly turned off the phone, tried to disconnect from me. So I kept calling that number. He would not pick up. He would not pick up. At the point, the number went dead. So which means he changed the number. So when this man now realized that I really have no husband, I was by myself, he wrote me a letter, a very lengthy letter, telling me how bad he feels, how it's not good for how what the man did was bad, how I should be very careful, how I should mind myself, that he's going to be there for me like a big brother. He's going to always make sure I'm fine. I should just take care of myself so that I don't get more sick. Very nice letter. And he signed your brother, your friend. I think he said your friend or your brother. And that letter was very consoling to me at that point. So a few days after that letter, he now called me and said, "Oh, by the way, I got my sister and she's ready to help you." So he said, "By the way, I got my sister. I told her about you and she's ready to help you." So he passed the phone to the sister. They were there together, obviously, because the woman came on the line immediately. I was like, "Oh, how are you? How are you doing? God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Oh, God, wonderful, wonderful. I was just shocked hearing about you. I'm so sorry for what you're going through. Listen, I'm going to be your sister. I'm going to be there for you. I will take care of the baby. Whenever you're back, I will give you back the baby. I just felt so sorry. So sorry that you're going through this." What else can suit a woman hurting? So her voice was so soothing that night. She sounded so good that I just fell in love with her. And this is how I started talking with this woman. Almost, not almost. We're talking every night. She would come back from work and call me. "Oh, I just came back from work," and we'll talk for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. It became a ritual. It became an expectation for me every evening. So whenever she comes back, she will call me. And each time she calls, this woman will pray and speak in tongues. I'm not talking about la 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 ba ba ba. I mean the chronic tongue speaking, the conk one, that one that pastors will speak, and you will feel like they are talking to God. And what else would that what else would a woman want at this point? So I fell in love with her, like I said, and we went on like that. And this friendship or sisterhood lasted a month because I gave birth the next month. And she was the first person I called when I got to the hospital. I took the ambulance to the hospital. So I called her when I got there. Or before the ambulance came, I called. I said, "Yeah, I'm in labor. I've called the ambulance. I'm going to the hospital." "Oh, which hospital?" I told her where I was going to. And I got there. Not up to 20 minutes, she appeared with a lawyer. Guys, I didn't really think anything at that point. I didn't. The only thing I told the doctors was that I don't want them in the labor room with me. So they just came to talk to me briefly and they went out. And I thought they had gone home. So, excuse me. After my delivery and cleanup, I was shocked that they were still there. So the nurses ushered them in. I was, kind of grateful that somebody can be there waiting for me for that long, you know. So they came that night and they left. The second night, they called on the phone, and I was supposed to be. My daughter was born March 9th, 2003. So On the 10th of March, very late at night, she called me and she said, "Oh, I'm coming to pick up the baby tomorrow." I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay, let me just tell you the rules. First of all, when I come, don't talk too much. Just answer a few questions. Don't I said answer a few questions from who say no, don't talk too much to the doctors. Don't say too much. Make sure you're not talking to any doctor because if they find out that someone else is coming to pick your baby, they may decide to give the baby to the government, and you don't want the baby to go to the social services. So just don't talk too much. Don't say anything to the doctor. Make sure you don't tell them that anybody is coming. So when we come, we just come and pick up the baby. And let me also let you know that I wouldn't be able to do this if we don't have any legal backing." And I was like, "Legal what?" Because I remember we verbally talked about this, and I said, "I don't want any legal thing. I don't want anything that will tie me. I just want you to take care of this baby. When it's time for me, I'll still have my rights. I'll take my baby." And she agreed. But that night, before she came to pick up the baby, she changed everything. She said she's no longer coming to pick the baby, except I signed something. So reluctantly, I said, "Okay, I can do legal guardianship for a few weeks until I get someone to help me." She said, "Okay." So that next morning was it was a mixed feeling for me. I would look at my baby, and she would look up to me. I was just, how you feel like you're going to give your 3 days old baby out. So I cried all through the night, and the nurses were asking me what the problem was, and I kept, telling them it's because my husband abandoned me. But my main problem was that I was, going to miss my child. So the nurses were like, "Okay, so are you sure you're going to be able to take care of the baby?" I said, "Yeah, I have family that will take care of the baby. Don't worry about that," because they all knew I was going to go for treatment. Excuse me. I'm sorry. So that morning they came, I think around 11 a.m., and I was just numb. They came in with a white lady who they introduced to me to be the lawyer they hired for me. I was still scared. I was still speechless. I tried to hold my baby as much as I could that morning. So I was just holding on to my baby, trying to talk to her, trying to tell her that I'm going to, just talking to her mother to daughter. But it was in a very quiet way. Nobody was hearing us. So the lady was like, "Okay, can we go on with the business of the day? Ma'am, do you know what you're going to be signing?" And this evil lady and the husband, I told you they already briefed me. So when she asked that question, she was like, the lady, the nurse, the lawyer was sitting at the edge of my bed talking to me, and they were standing like close to her, and she would give me sign like, don't talk, or say something. So they were giving me signs of what to say when these people ask me questions. So as soon as the lawyer asked me, "Do you know what you're going to be signing?" She went, I said, "Yes." And truly, I meant yes, because I was thinking that I was signing legal guardianship. So I said, "Yes." And the lady said, "Okay, so you want to read?" And I said, "No, I know what I'm signing already. And I don't know why I did that." So that's why I'm telling this story, for people to learn from the mistakes that I made, you know, and because I trusted these people. A whole month of praying in tongues was it for me. So I didn't have any reason to doubt her.
I know damn shortly. I know damn shortly. I know damn shortly. Best accommodation in the deal. Best accommodation in the deal. I know damn shortly. I know damn shortly. I know damn shortly. Best accommodation in the deal. Best accommodation in the deal. Beautiful home. I know damn shortly. I know damn shortly. We pick you up from the airport. I know damn shortly. We show you around town. I know damn shortly. Yeah, we got you. I know damn shortly. I know damn shortly. I know damn shortly. I know damn shortly. Best accommodation in the deal. Check in, check out, check out, check. Loyalty and royalty, best of the best. Other hosts stay under duress. Charlotte's under stress, say less.
So this lawyer kept opening the pages, and I was on my bed signing. She'll open, sign here, and I'll sign. She'll open, sign here, and I'll sign. And that's how I signed all the documents. And the attorney got up and left immediately. So it was three of us. So I remember telling them, okay, when I come back, I'll call you. You know, all the arrangement, we made all the verbal arrangements there. And they said, you hold on to this baby, because when you have a baby in America, they'll wheel you out with the baby in your arms. You're not supposed to walk outside. They'll wheel you to the car park and wait until you get in the car. So they wheeled me out and they followed me. So the nurses wheeled me out. I entered one of the cars that they brought. And then she took the baby and put in her car. So there was no way I could think that these people were together, because the man was the one that put my bag in his car, and he drove me down to my house, and the lady drove the baby to her house. So when we got home, and I'm going to say this here, I already said it in all my stories. I'm going to say this here, that all that I'm telling you today will be the truth, the whole truth, and so help me God. I will never lie to you. Whatever I say here is the truth. So this man came and he left immediately. He didn't even come into my house, because this particular incident became a story that I'll tell you later on. This man did not even come in. He was in a hurry, and I was wondering why he was in such a hurry. And he said, "Oh, I have to go. I have to go. The basket, I have some things in the car that I need to give to my sister. The basket for bathing the baby is in the trunk. So I want to go give it to my sister so they can give the baby a good bath." I said, "Okay," and he left. And few weeks later, like a week later, I started going for the real tests to find out what really was wrong with me. And that was when they ran all the tests again, and they discovered it was not cancer, but I have liver problem. So that was the only thing they had to work on, just working on my liver. So I was so excited, and this was like 3 weeks after the baby was with them. So out of that excitement, I got home, and she was the first person I called. Mind you, at this point, the lawyer, my immigration attorney, stopped talking to me. And that was okay by me, because, I really have nothing with him. So I didn't suspect anything. So I called this lady. I said, "Oh, thank God, thank God, thank God. I am back from the hospital, and the news is wonderful. The doctor said I don't have cancer, but I have liver problem, and they're just going to treat it. It's not a big deal." She said, "Oh." I felt there was no excitement in her voice. I did not hear praise God. I did not hear hallelujah. I did not hear, "Oh, thank God." All I heard was, "Oh." So I became scared. So I dropped the phone, and I was thinking, I said, what type of, I called back in about 2 hours. I said, "Did you hear what I said?" I said, "Please, can you bring the baby back to me?" That was when she started saying, "I'm washing. When I finish, I'm doing this." She started giving me excuses. And this was from that almost 12 p.m., 12 noon, till about 3 p.m. She was still telling me stories. And by this time, I had made like more than 10 calls. So at that point, I decided to look for the card of the attorney, because she gave me a card that day. And I called her, and I said, "This is Miss Ijoma. This is what happened. I'm back from the hospital, and these people refused to bring my baby to me." I didn't say people. I said, "This lady refused to bring my baby." He said, "Oh, Miss Ijoma, that was adoption you did." I said, "What?" She said, "Yes, that was adoption. You did adoption." He said, "By the way, it's just 28 days. Adoption will be cancelled after 30 days. So you still have 2 days. So come right into my office and we're going to revoke it. So I didn't even know how I got there. I just know I called my neighbor who had a car. I said, please take me. And he took me there. I got there. And the lawyer was like, you didn't know? I said, no, I didn't know. She said, okay. She gave me all the documents for revocation and I revoked immediately. And I went home. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I was not seeing these people. I called the lawyer's cell phone because she gave me a cell phone number that in case she leaves the office and I still need to reach her, I should call the cell phone. So I called her cell phone. I said, they've not brought the baby to me. She said, no, they can't do that. He said, if they don't bring that baby, I'll call the police on them. That baby will be in your house before 12 midnight, I promise you. So I guess she called them back. And these people did not come at 12. I was trying to call the attorney back when they called me to say they are on their way. And this was like exactly 12. So they wanted to buy more time. They said, we are on our way. And it took them another 2 hours to get to me. Excuse me. When they got into my house, I was shocked to see both of them. But I didn't mind. The attorney was the one carrying the child in the car seat, and the lady just came after him. So he dropped the baby in the middle of the room and just left the room. So I was there alone with the baby and the woman. And the first thing he said was, "Don't you see that you are still sick? You think I'll eat your child? Do you think I'll eat your child? You are very ungrateful. You searched all around. You couldn't get people to help you. And I volunteered to help you. And this is how you thank me to go and report me, trying to mess up my license." She was saying so many things. I said, "I'm sorry. I came back and when I called you, you didn't respond. So that's why I had to call the attorney." She blasted me, saying all kinds of things. "You're still sick. You're still sick. Look, I'm your sister. Let me just care for this baby. Let me care for this baby. You go and take care of yourself. You're sick. You're very sick. Do you know I'm a nurse? I'm a registered nurse. Do you know what liver problem is? You cannot, some days you'll be weak, some days you'll be tired, some days, she was saying all kinds of things. And at the end of the day, I cried and I listened to her. And foolishly, I let her take the baby. But at least I knew at that point that it was still revoked. A few days, she said, "I want to visit." And she came. And that was when she was talking about immigration on me. You remember you don't have any immigration status. You remember this because by then my papers was already elapsing. So I had also contracted this same lawyer to extend it more for me. But that day, as soon as I told him about the extension, he told me that he couldn't do it. I said, "Why?" He said he doesn't work in that office anymore. But you know what I found out? I found out that he didn't want to be my lawyer anymore because of the reason I'll tell you later on down the line. So he did not help me to extend it. And I was sick, so I couldn't go to extend it. So when this lady was talking about immigration, I was so scared. She said, "They will take this baby from you and you will never see this baby and you will be deported and you will never put your feet in America. Once you are deported from this country, you can no longer come in. So why don't you just let me take care of this baby so that..." And as she was talking, she brought out adoption papers right there in my room. "You have to resign this whole thing." And I did. And I remember crying all day that day. But after 3 weeks, I couldn't hold it anymore. I called the attorney again. The attorney was so mad. Excuse me. The attorney was so mad. And she said, "Dorothy, are you being threatened?" I said, "No." "What's the problem?" I couldn't talk. I said, "Nothing." She said, "Okay, you're an adult, so you do what you want." So I told her that day, I said, I want to revoke it again. She said, are you sure? I said, yes. So we did this revocation process all over again. And she called them to return the baby. And this was exactly 3 weeks. So I still have like a week before the annulment. And they brought the baby again, the same thing. The man dropped the baby and left, and me and the lady started talking. And we're talking and talking. She was talking and swearing and shouting and making noise and threatening me. Immigration will come in and they will take this baby. You're staying in this one room. You can't even, you don't even have a job. You don't have money. And she took the baby from me. This particular evening, because I said I wasn't going to lie to you. This particular evening, she stared at me with her eyeballs bulging. That stared at me like this, like, you have to sign this paper. And guys, I signed the papers again. And she took the baby and left. So after she left, my friends were like, what is going on? Where is your baby? And they were all concerned for me. So I said, my friends were all concerned and they were asking about the baby, and it was that at that point that I opened up to few of them. And they were like, what? Few weeks down the line, I think my baby was like 2 months old then. My friend called me and said, look what I just discovered. I said, what? He said, my auntie, my cousin took me to a party yesterday, naming ceremony. And guess who I saw? And guess what they were doing? I said, what? Talk. Excuse me. She said, your lawyer. Because she's my friend. She knew everything about that lawyer. I think she met him one time when in the hospital, yeah. When she came to see me, they came that day, so she knew him. So I introduced him as my lawyer. He said, when I got to the party, it was your lawyer and that woman that were doing naming ceremony. Do you know those people were married? Do you know they've been married for 16 years without an issue? Did you know that? I said, no, I didn't know they were married. She said, they're relative. That's the man is his brother. She said, no, that's not the brother. That's the husband. That was where the whole story changed. And I started going from place to report them. I went to all the Nigerian meetings. I went to anywhere I could see. I became crazy because at this point, adoption was over. Because I didn't tell you, once she took that baby from me, I relapsed again. I became terribly sick. So by the time I came back from the hospital was that time that they were doing their so-called naming ceremony. And by then, adoption was over with, I think, about 2 weeks over. It was more than 30 days, about 40 days that time. So I was going everywhere to try to tell people what happened. Someone referred me to the ambassador, told me to go to the Nigerian ambassador, Professor Obiozo. And I went to him. I explained the whole thing to him. And he said, oh, no, that's not good. I'll call him. I know him. I'll call him. And the next day, the ambassador called me and told me that I've spoken to him and he's so reluctant. He doesn't want to do anything. I've talked to him. Go ahead and do other things you can do. But later I found out that they were good friends. So there's no way, I don't think he talked to him, or maybe they talked and he lied, and I don't know. The man is late, so I'm not going to say anything bad about him. I mean, the ambassador is late, so I'm not going to be saying anything bad about him. So that was how my battle started. I kept going from place to place. I contacted a lot of people. And because the adoption was closed at that point, it became very, very hard. I went back to the courthouse. I complained to the judge, and the judge wrote me and said, you revoked the adoption twice, so you knew what you were doing. And if you think this adoption is wrong, you get a lawyer. At that point, I became weak. So I was just talking, begging everybody to help me. But these people will not budge. My baby turned 7 months, and this man suddenly called me one day. He said, can we talk? Can we come and talk about the baby? We want to talk because we see you are reporting us everywhere. So let's just have this talk and put things straight. I said, okay. Before then, the wife came, and that was the day she came alone, and I confronted her about lying to me. She apologized and said, you know what? I'm going to give you a pendant. She brought out this pendant. It's a heart-shaped pendant with it's like cut into, like split into two. One part says mother, the other part says daughter. So she broke the pendant into two and gave me the mother part and kept the daughter part. And she promised me that this is going to be uh, like a covenant between us, that since the adoption is closed and there's nothing you can do, this is just promising you that you will forever be able to see your child. I said, no, that's not what I want. I want to be in her life. I said, please, I promise you I'm not going to take her away, but just let me have close relationship with her. Bring her to me. Let her grow with me. At least on weekends, let her come. Instead of taking her to the babysitter, bring her to me. I'll take care of her. And she promised and left. So when the husband called me, when the baby turned 7 months, and told me they were coming back, I thought they were coming back to talk about this whole thing again. So that night I waited 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, almost 12 o'clock. He told me, oh, I'm outside. I'm like, you're outside? He said, yeah. I said, what about your wife? Oh, she couldn't make it, but it's going to be a brief meeting. I'm just going to talk and then we'll go. That's okay. He came in, and you remember I told you the house I rented with 5 people. It's a Chinese man that owned the house. He had a Chinese restaurant in Baltimore, so he stays in the house only on Monday mornings. He come back on Sunday night, spend Monday, and then goes back on Monday night. So he's not there all the time, and the other 5 men work round the clock. So I was alone in that house that day. So he came, I opened the door. We went inside my room, and then we sat down. That room only had my bed and a TV stand where I placed this TV on. I have a small TV that I watch. So it was just that bed and the TV stand. So there was no other option than for him to sit near on my bed. So he sat near my bed. We're not sitting close because I was still very cautious of myself. And then we start talking. And excuse me, I asked him, how is my baby? How is everything? And we were just talking, talking, talking. The next thing I knew, this man just pushed me down and used his hand to pin me down on my bed. And before I could say, Jack Robinson, this man raped me in my room. Yeah, he raped me in my room and he left. He just stood up and I'm sorry, that's not the plan. I didn't plan to do this. I just wanted us to talk. I don't know what came over me. I'm sorry. And he jumped out. The next thing I heard was his car drive off. I buried my head in shame, in pain. I was disgusted. I felt disgusted. I went and cleaned myself. I took shower, cleaned myself up. I was just irritated. And that was the greatest mistake I made. That night, had I reported that rape, I would have gotten my child back immediately. But my mind was numbed. I didn't think. All I felt was just pain and anger, anguish, and numbness. I took the shower, I came back, and I just lay down, went back to sleep. I woke up in the morning. I was trying to think if it was a dream or something, but it was not dream. And anger made me not to even call this man. At this point, I don't know what I would call the feeling that I had. I even stopped calling the woman too. I was just like on my own. I just shut myself down. Even my friends noticed that I was withdrawn, but they thought I was just mourning my I was just angry because of my child. So I was doing all this, just managed to go to work and come back, because then I was working at this gas station, and that was the last week of my on the gas station anyway. I started working in a preschool, and this preschool promised to file my papers for me. That was the catch for me. So I went to them and I started working there. I worked for like a month or two, when I noticed that I was pregnant. I didn't know what to say at that point. So I called this man in anger. I was like, what have you done with me? Why did you do this? That was the only time I'll talk to him that time. And I was so angry. He was apologizing. I said, this is not a matter of, I said, what am I going to do? And I got so angry, I just hung up on him. And I started researching on what to do, because I didn't want to carry any pregnancy again, not for this particular person. I wanted to be strong to fight for my child. So I went searching for how I could have abortion carried out. And that was a big deal for me, because I was supposed to be a Christian. But I thought about the whole thing. I said, that's the only way out. How am I going to explain to the world that I'm pregnant? For who? So I researched and I got this place, this Planned Parenthood office in Bowie. And I called them, made an appointment, and went there, and they were willing to help. So they referred me to where I was going to actually carry out the abortion. That day came. I drove myself to the place. And as I was driving, then I bought one old car that I was using for my job, for going to work. So I drove down to the place. And when I got to the street, I did not know that it was a one-way. I had to go around the street to the next street and come from the back into the hospital. So I drove straight into the street. And before I could drive for a minute, a police car was right behind me. And he pulled me over and searched the car and everything. Then I found out that my car was registered with 2 plate numbers. That is to tell you how mentally, I will say, I was really going through a lot then. So I wasn't really thinking right. I gave this car to a Nigerian car dealer to make the tags, because that's what happens. That's what people do in those days. And he put this tag, one tag in the front and a different tag at the back. So my car had 2 plate numbers. I didn't even know.
I have a weight loss program in case you're coming across this and you want to sign up. I'm going to put the link in the description box and in the comment section. And if you want to Google it, it's summerhealthyweightloss.com, because it's not just about losing weight, but losing it in a healthy way. It's important. Be careful. I've been saying it. I've been doing this disclaimer. If you do not have the discipline to stop when you reach the ideal weight, please do not do it, because you're going to lose too much weight. You don't have to starve. You don't have to go to the gym. It will blow your mind. So it's summerhealthyweightloss.com. That is my website.
And because it was a new car, I just bought it like a month, or not even up to a month. So I didn't check anything. So the police said because of that, they were going to impound the car. And the man impounded my car. So I stood there with my bags and everything. And my spirit said, if this is not God, tell me who it is. Just turn around and go home. God will take care of you. And like a zombie, I turned around. I didn't even go to the hospital. I just turned around and I went home. On my way home, they started calling me. I said, I'm not coming back. I said, I'm not interested anymore. Please cancel the appointment. So I got home and I started thinking and crying with what I needed to do. I was like thinking of what to do. And my spirit told me, you don't have to do anything. Don't worry. Don't worry. Just take care of yourself. So at the 4th month of that pregnancy, and mind you, I was still dealing with my liver problem. So you can understand how my doctors felt when they noticed I was pregnant. Whew. They talked to me like I was a carefree woman. They all talked to me like I was a non-entity. They were just, not in a bad, not that they were cursing me out, but they were just telling me why I shouldn't have gotten pregnant. And they were all still talking about abortion. And I told them I'm willing to take my chances that I won't do any abortion. So at that point, that was the very time that they found out that I was not only carrying one child, but two. So they, at the point that when they found out I was going to have two children, the suggestions became more. Ma'am, do you think this is the right thing to do? You still have time to do the abortion. There's still time for you to do it up to so and so weeks. You can still do it at this time. It's not a big deal at this time. Once it crosses this month, this particular month is going to be over. Are you willing to go around the whole stretch you went through with no father, nothing? Mind you, I didn't tell them about the rape, but of course they knew I was alone because they asked me if there was a man in my life. I said no. So that was why they scolded me so badly. So I went on with this pregnancy. It was at that point I called this man again, the attorney. That was my 4th month of pregnancy. And I said, let me go back. When my baby turned 1, this lady all of a sudden called me and said, you want to come for the party? We're having a party for her. Can you come? And I jumped. I said, yes, I will go. So I went to that party, not talking to the man, at that point. Anybody who can remember me from that day that I came to the party, because I know some people will remember that day, some of their friends watching me. I came into that party, I didn't speak to anybody. She came to the door to welcome me. Oh, and people were asking, now who is this? Who is this? Oh, that's my friend. That's my friend. And I didn't even say anything to her. I just brought in the gift that I bought for my baby, gave it to them, and I was just sitting. And I sat I was not there for long. I was there maybe for 30 minutes because they won't even let me touch my baby. I was just there for like few minutes and I left. And when I left, this man kept calling me, calling me. I mean, the husband, I didn't pick up the call. Getting close to the house, he called again and I told him, stop calling me. And I hung up. So 2 weeks after, I told myself, I said, am I just going to let this man go scot-free? I want to give him the peace of my mind. So I called him myself. And I gave him all kinds of curses. And I said, it will not be well with you. For doing what you did to me, God will judge you. I said so many things. And he said, no, 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 you don't have to curse. There's no problem. Since it's a boy and a girl, just give me the boy and keep the girl. So that the burden will not be too much on you. Give me the boy and keep the girl. Guys, my head turned inside out at that point and I gave him more curses. And I hung up. And that was it. I didn't really feel like seeing. So, like I said, I was upset. So I just stayed by myself. And when he suggested he wanted a boy, I blasted him some more. And that was how I cut off every relationship. From him, his wife, I just cut them off. But I was still talking about my child. And nobody knew who was responsible for the pregnancy I carried while I was still talking. I had my baby and my babies October 26, 2004. So you can do the math. So no calls from anybody. I just took care of myself and my babies. 7 days after they were born. At this time, my visa had elapsed, so I didn't even try to do anything on it again. So because this job had promised to, file for me, I felt at ease. So I didn't work. I told them I couldn't come to work for 2 months, 2 years, because I couldn't afford the daycare money. And I didn't want to put my children in daycare. I didn't have the money for that. So I decided to concentrate on the braiding. So I would go to the braiding store and make little change. So I took my children to the braiding store the 7th day they were born. I laid them on a blanket near me and I started braiding. And this made some customers really upset. They were like, no, you can't do this. Please go home. Go home. Take these babies home. Take them home. So I managed to go back home and I stayed for few weeks. I was just for few weeks because I have to pay my rent. I have to do things. So I stayed for a few weeks and I went back to braiding. At that point, I found an old woman who would care for them while I go braiding. So I was using her. So I kept taking care of my baby until my babies turned 1. At that point, everybody was concerned because they felt like this man. At that point, I opened up to my pastor, told him who the man was. So my pastor was so upset. He said, no, this man cannot be living large and then you're suffering, because the church was virtually taking care of me then. So he said, you can't, this man is living large, he's wealthy. Why can't you take him for child support? I said, no, I don't want that. They said, no, you have to go for child support. Is either you go for child support or we'll stop helping. So I'm sorry. I took the flu shot and it's affecting me. So the pastor took me to the social services and I applied for child support. And when we started going to court for child support hearing, war began. This lady will call me. I guess that point she just wanted to torment me because she knows about these children. Because let me take you back. The day the man suggested I should give him the boy and keep the girl, I told him, I said, okay, can you tell your wife? If your wife agrees with me, then I'll let you have the child. And he told me later, my wife is interested. That was when I blasted him. I said, so your wife sent you. Because this woman is a very possessive woman. She's very, very controlling. She doesn't leave her husband 1 inch. So for her to leave him to come that night, they knew what they planned. They knew their plan. They knew that, oh, she just had a baby, she's fertile, let's go try our luck. That was what happened. So let me go back to the child support issue. When I filed for child support, this man became upset. He would come to my house and bang at the door. He would scream at me. He would do all kinds of things. And I took him for restraining order. In total, I took this man to about 17 restraining orders here in America, and I didn't get one. You know why? He was an attorney, he had a political position, and he was friends with most of the judges. So I never got any restraining order. Quote me anywhere, the records are there. I never got one against him. Because his wife will come to the court and testify, oh, he's a good husband, he never touched me, he never beat me. I don't know where she's getting that from. She's a loose woman who got pregnant with my husband, got pregnant from my husband in hope that my husband will marry her. And now my husband decided he doesn't want 2 wives. She's angry. And judges will blast me and say all kinds of things, call me names, tell me I'm very careless and callous. I just want to make a good man look bad. Guys, this is, I should say, it should be on record in the courthouse because I know they record all their court hearings. So if they go back to 2014 up until 2012, they will see me going back and forth in the courtroom for restraining order or for child support hearing. We did this and this man refused to pay for child support until child support accumulated to $47,000. So to enforce it, they decided to, give him a warning letter that they were going to put a lien on his house, or they're going to sell his house and get the money for the children. He came back again and told me he was going to make me disappear from the face of America. He's going to do this. And out of fear, I ran back to the courthouse, but they will not protect me. So I went to the court. I canceled child support, and I took my children, packed my bag and baggages. I told my job. They were able to transfer me to Kansas, to a school, to one of their branches in Kansas. And I left Maryland, took my children, and disappeared to Maryland just to save them. I was there for a few years, and it became so hard for me because there, the area I lived in, what do they call it? Overland Park and Shawnee. I live in Shawnee too, but Overland Park was where I worked and lived for a short time. So that area is all white neighborhood. So there was no African store to go to. The only African store then was in Missouri. So I used to drive like almost 2 hours because I lived close to the border of Missouri and Kansas, Kansas City. So I used to drive like almost more than an hour to go to grocery shop. And when I go to the African store, their plantain is always black, their oil is always frozen. Food is, I mean, it's not fresh at all. So sometimes you end up buying things that you would not even eat. So after 2 years of struggling like that, and with the cold I was in Kansas, with their tornado their tornado warnings and tornado all the time, I decided to just come back. So I contacted my job again, and they transferred me back to Maryland. So when I came back, I just piped low. I didn't talk to them. I didn't say anything. I just decided to be quiet and calm. Up until 2018, 19, I felt like, no, if I keep quiet, my child will be gone. Let me at least come online and talk about my child. So I came online and I started talking about my child. And once I started talking about my child, these people came for me. They took me to court for harassment. Instead of taking me to court for defamation of character, they took me to court for harassment. And in Maryland, harassment is a criminal offense. And because at that point I was running my own daycare, so I, being a child care provider, will be affected by having a harassment judgment on me. That will cost me my license. So I decided to, plead guilty just for peace to reign. And I promised the judge that I would not mention their names again. And that's why you will never catch me mentioning their names in this new version of telling my story. So I kept going online from 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. In 2023, I started hearing so many stories about sexual harassment on my child. At a point, I saw her in a dream. She came and stood in the corner of my room, was crying. I walked up to her, said, "Mama, what is it?" And she said, "They are harassing me. They're sexually harassing me." She used the word they. And I woke up in anger and I called the social services. This was in 2023. That was the first time I called them. And I told them that I needed them to go for a welfare check at so and so place, that I have my adopted child there and I feel that she's being molested. I want them to go for a welfare check, at least go and interview her. The first thing they said was, "Ma'am, we can't take you serious because you said you had a dream." And that was my mistake. And I take that blame. So they wouldn't look into the case. After that, I called them again a few months later. And at this time, I did not say I had a dream. I just pleaded with them to go. And the lady said somebody will be sent out. It did not occur to me to call the police. If I had known You know, going through this whole thing made me sometimes I don't really, how would I say it? I don't really do things the way I normally do things. I am kind of scared and, shy of doing anything. And that's why you will not catch me in any Nigerian party. A lot of invitations come. I don't go. I rather send them a gift in the mail because this whole thing made me to have low self-esteem. I felt like I was a failure because these people were telling everybody that they paid me $50,000, and that the other version of the story is that the child was their offspring that I helped them to carry. So I was a surrogate mother. So, and people hearing all this would always attack me whenever I talk. So because of that, I always stay on my own. It came to a time that I even stopped enrolling Nigerian children into my daycare.
If you're coming across me for the first time and you do not know, my name is Soma Akko. I'm a Nigerian that lived abroad for many years and visited Nigeria for the first time in a long time and fell in love with Nigeria and shared my Japada story. And as we speak, I now own a shortlet and I'm very close to the airport. If you're coming into Nigeria, you need somewhere to stay, contact me, the number on the screen. If you want to stay in my shortlet, it's going to be the cleanest shortlet you've ever been in. I'm not bragging, it's a statement of fact. There are people that have booked me. They actually have houses in Lagos, but when they landed, maybe it's 11 at night or 12 at night or too late at night, they don't want to go home that night. They want to stay in my shortlet because I'm close to the airport, and then they go home in the morning. You understand? So we actually also help people to organize airport pickups. And why that is good is this: the fact that I know who I sent to go pick you up. I wouldn't send someone that I do not trust, you understand, or someone that I feel like is not traceable. So this is the estate where my shortlet is. Guys, I'm telling you guys, especially Nigerians abroad that have this terrible image of Nigeria. Not all, some people. So when some of them have come to stay in my shortlet, they are like, wow. They are like, this one even 5 pass abroad. You understand? So it's important. Not just choose any shortlet. Make sure you choose a shortlet in a nice neighborhood, in a safe neighborhood, in a clean neighborhood. No all this lousy, noisy neighborhood. Very peaceful neighborhood. In this estate, you can go for a walk even at night if you want, because it is that safe. There are actually a lot of foreigners that stay in this estate, and you see them walking around comfortably. Contact our WhatsApp number now to book.
And that's not racism. But I did it because I didn't want to talk to any Nigerian because most of them know me. After that incident of me going everywhere and me talking on the internet, people know me, they'll see me and they recognize me. And most of them will blast me. Most of them will insult me. So after collecting 50,000, you still want to talk. All kinds of mess. So at that point, I became withdrawn, even up to date. But I'm trying to get out of my shell. So 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23, I made that report. 24, I heard that they took my daughter to Nigeria. And I was really, really upset. I was really upset. So I made a video asking them why they should take my child to Nigeria. I didn't mention their name. I just talked about them taking my child to Nigeria. So when I heard they took my child to Nigeria, I was upset. So almost a year later, into 2025, just exactly a year later into 2025, they sent 2 people to my house. I mean, this heartless couple sent 2 people to my house on the 21st of August 2025, this year. And these people came, they were at the door. I saw them in the camera. I'm like, who are these people? They came around 7 o'clock in the evening. So I was done for the day. I was already in my bed. And I saw them and I came down and I opened the door. Like, who are you? What do you want? And they introduced themselves and said they wanted to come in. I resisted, but eventually they came in because they mentioned my daughter's name. So I thought they were coming to talk to me about her because my my joy that time was that I was beginning to hear from people that your daughter has seen your videos, oh, and she's coming back to you. So I was really excited. Anytime I see people at it, I want to rush out to see if she sent them or if she came or something like that. So when they got to the door and they said, "We are here because of so and so person," I looked at the car that they came with. "Is she in the car? Is she here?" They said, "No, we need to talk to you about her." I came inside with them. They sat down, and that was when they broke the news to me that my daughter had passed. They told me that my child that I've been fighting for all this while was no more. I cried, I screamed, I was all over the place, I was jumping everywhere in this living room, I was shouting, crying, shouting, crying. Luckily for me, my daughter was one of my twins. My daughter was at home that day from college. So she heard me screaming. She ran downstairs and she faced them. "What did you do to my mom? What did you tell my mom? What did you tell my mom?" And they stupidly broke the same news to her, and she broke down too because we have all been looking forward to seeing her. We have a picture right there. We have a picture all over the place, but the biggest one is over there. I'm going to show it maybe later. Big frame. So if you're coming into my house, you see it first. It's right there at the entrance going up the stairs. So we've always yearned to see her. So coming that day to break that news was the worst day of our lives. These people came and I said, "How did my daughter go?" "Oh, they found her unresponsive in the house." And they left. Few days later, they called me back and said, "By the way, we want to have a funeral for her and we don't want you to come to the funeral. We're not expecting you in the funeral. Please don't show up in the funeral." Hmm. They further said, "We can allow you to come see her corpse in the morgue, but we don't want you in the funeral." Said, "Okay." So they left. So on that funeral day, hmm, I went. My mind was just to go and just sit quietly and watch them, watch my child, or at least I didn't want to go and see my child like that. But I couldn't hold myself. What would I be doing at home? So I went, excuse me, I went with a friend of mine because she insisted on coming with me. And then one other friend went to the funeral place because they didn't know her. So she was free. I mean, he was free to go in. First of all, they made a flyer for the funeral. You need to see that flyer. Just not even a flyer. They made it on the phone and sent it digitally to all their friends. And that burial announcement did not have their names. They just put the viewing of so and so person will be on so and so day. The interment will be at so and so place after burial at so and so place. That was good. This man and his wife did not even put their names on that flyer. So we're still driving to the funeral place. You can imagine how crazy I would look that day. On our way going, we got a call from that friend of mine who was inside. He said, please don't come. These people have a police outside the door, and I'm sure they're waiting to get you. They're waiting to arrest you. I'm sure they have gone to the court to file something against you that you are going to come and disrupt. And you know, America, for security's sake, they must have placed you on they must have placed a restraining order on you without you knowing. So please don't come. Don't come. I said, no, I will come. I eventually went there, but I parked far away from the church. So I was just viewing everything. By the time I got there, my child's body was already in the church, and they said the casket was open. People were looking. Oh, because my friend inside kept sending me text messages of what was going on inside. And when it was time for this man to give an eulogy for the dead child, he was there talking about how they went to Disney World, how they took her to Nigeria the previous year, how they traveled the world with her, which is a lie. He and his wife always traveled, but this girl never traveled with them, except when they took her to Nigeria for the first and the last time. Anytime they were traveling, they would bundle her to their relatives. And did I mention to you that my child was homeschooled all her life? She never attended any school, real school. She was put at home because they didn't want her to know me or meet me by any chance. So this girl was already stuffed up in the house. She doesn't go out. They don't let her do anything. When she got to college, they insisted she do online classes, and that was where she said she's not going to do it, and she dropped out of college. So my daughter never had a college degree at 22. Normally, please, you get your first degree at 20, 21 or 22. Depends on your birthday. Because America has there's a specific month of the year that you, let me just leave all that. But America has, so like I said, my daughter was always in the house. She doesn't go out. She doesn't mix up with people. They never take her anywhere. So she's always in there with them. So him saying that they took him around the world was a shocker to my ear that day. So they finished the funeral, and I saw them bring out my daughter's casket. I ran crazy in the car, and my friend tried holding me back. No, I wanted to run out of the car. They said, no, don't do it. The police may arrest you. And you know what? I regret it. That's my greatest regret up till today. I wish that I had gone, faced my fear, and go to jail for it. But you know, when people are holding you, you have no choice. Everybody was, don't go, don't go. So I sat in the car, and I saw them carry my baby, saw them drive off. And I came home miserable. So the next day, I told myself I have to find out what happened. So I called the police department and demanded for police reports. And they said, oh, we can't give a police report except we have a proof that you are the mother. Thank God. Thank God. I did not lose my daughter's birth certificate from the hospital. I still have her birth certificate, and I'll have it to the end of my life. So I told them, yeah, I have her birth certificate. They said, okay, come on in. So I went there, and they gave me the police report, and that was where I found out the truth. You know, these people told me that they found her unresponsive, but the truth was, or the police report suggested that my baby ended her own life. And till tomorrow, I will not buy that story. And that is why I'm telling this story everywhere. Because I've tried to reach out to the police. I've tried to make them try to convince them to try to do more autopsy. I don't even think they did an autopsy. Yeah, they told me, they said because she took her life, we're not doing any autopsy. And we're not doing any more investigation. But I'm still working on convincing them to have an autopsy and investigation made. Because right after my daughter was buried, I started hearing stories. I started hearing stories. These people announced the birth of a set of twins. That same week, my daughter passed. And they did not announce her death. They announced that they have a new baby. It was only when I started contacting their friends, excuse me, that their friends went online to challenge them because they posted the pictures of the babies. And their friends said, "Are you telling us what we are thinking? Are we sure what we are thinking is not what happened? Where did these twins come from?" Guys, when you see the picture of these babies, nobody will tell you or convince you where they came from. You will automatically know where those twins came from. Remember, they took her to Nigeria. And once they came back, they dropped her off in the house and they went back to Nigeria. And they claimed that my daughter ended her life alone in the house. The police report says their basement window was wide open. So, don't you think somebody could have come from the back, did what they did, and placed her in the car where the police found her body? Because when the police found her, she was already decomposed. That's why I don't have a date to my daughter's death. Because the police don't have a date. It's just an assumption that she died on the 12th because they discovered her on the 12th. But the report says she was already decomposing when they found her. So, please, people, make this make sense to me that this man, this couple, welcomed a set of twins that look exactly like my daughter. And then my daughter took her own life a few weeks after. Because I don't understand how this can be true. And that is why I'm talking here online. And I will never stop talking. I won't stop talking. I will not stop talking. Because I want justice for my daughter. I want everyone to help me. I want justice. The police have decided that she committed suicide and they closed the case. And these people have a set of twins that looks exactly like my child. So, where did the twins come from? That is the question I'm asking them. I've been asking that question on my videos, in all my videos. And I know they do watch my videos. They do. Where did the twins come from? Can they just tell us where they got those twins from? Once you see these twins, guys, you're seeing either me or my daughter. Because my daughter looks exactly like me. People who went for her funeral said when they saw her in the casket, they thought it was just me laying there because the resemblance is too much. So the babies look, the girl twin looks like me. I mean the babies, and the boy looks like the man. or my twin son, because my son looks like the man. So when you put 1 plus 1 together, guys, there will be no mixing it. And that is why I'm crying out. I want the whole world to help me. Please, I want to know what happened to my daughter and where the twins came from. If I get these answers, then I'm going to be fine. And I'll just start mourning my child, because I've not even mourned her yet. I want to mourn her more after finding what happened to her. I've been in mourning since August, but that's not even enough. That's not enough. I want a closure so I can mourn my child and know what happened to her.
Good morning, Miss Aku. My name is Dorothy Ijoma. I have been following you on YouTube for a long time. Please, I have a pressing story to share. I have been telling my story for some time now, but I was forced to stop talking. Please let me know when I can call you for detailed version of my plight. I hope to get a response from you soon. God bless. God bless you. And then another one she sent says, thank you so much for accepting my friend request. Message then said to her, I'll try to call you tomorrow. Then she said, thank you so much. I'll be expecting your call. Have a blessed day. Then the thing is that sometimes I can be very busy that I don't get back to people. That happens. There's so much going on. But anyway, so by the August, she sent another one. Says, good morning, Miss Summer. I trust you're good. I hope you remember me. I am still waiting for your call. She said your call. I can also call you if that's your preference. Have a blessed night and hope to talk to you soon. And then you can see here where it says you called Dorothy, and then I called her. Here, I think she sent me an image or something. I'm not sure. During this phone call, she told me her whole story. And I remember saying to her, make a video and share your full story. Because believe it or not, I'm one of those people that I don't like to take people's story and cover it. I like people to tell their story. And then I, as a content creator, can then, when I'm discussing it, I then reference the person sharing their story, right? But she didn't want, she was hesitant about sharing this story. And then, so she now said, hello, Miss Summer. I think sending the video will be by email because I can't seem to send through Messenger. So please send an email address to me. Thank you. Which I did. I sent her my email address. I can't remember getting a message, to be honest. And anyway, that was how that ended. She never went ahead with it. She backed out. And I would never cover somebody's story if the person does not want to cover their story. The person does not want me to cover their story, or the person is not willing to post their story. I came across where somebody else posted the woman's story where she's wearing a white dress. And I linked it to the person that sent me a message. I was like, oh my goodness. I'm so heartbroken because I'm like, is there something else I could have done? Did I, when I came across the story, I just couldn't listen to it to the end anymore. I just kept on, asking myself, is there something I could have done differently? Is there something I could have done? But unfortunately, let me tell you guys, as a content creator, one of the wisest things you can do is be very careful so that you cannot be sued for being the one that will be accused of defamation, being the one that will be accused. If the owner of the story is not willing to go ahead and share it, be wise about it. Because when somebody shares their story and you cover it, you're going to be covering what that person said. Don't forget that I was not there, you were not there. So this person's sharing their story by themselves. And then you'll be like, oh, my opinion about this story is this, that. That way you can never get into any legal problems because you're only sharing your opinion about what the person said. You're not the one that shared the story. The person cannot come tomorrow and deny they didn't share the story. You know what I mean? But I'm looking at the story now and I'm just saying it to anybody that is covering someone that you say is oppressing you in one way or the other. When I say oppressed, like when they know, okay, you're not documented, for that reason you cannot speak, or whatever the story is, whatever your story is, don't be silent about your oppressor. Forget about this woman's story now. Anybody out there that you know somebody is oppressing you one way or the other, don't be silent. Your silence enables, empowers, emboldens whoever is oppressing you. Now, looking back, the story she was holding and holding and holding, she didn't come. She has come out now to speak. And unfortunately, she's speaking now that the daughter has lost her life. Coming out then maybe could have saved that child. Now, I'm going by her story. Don't forget, it is what she has said. As far as I have listened to this story, I have not seen or heard where she actually called the couple out or even mentioned their names. So, I don't know if I missed it. If I missed it, tell me. Where she has mentioned their names and actually put their names out there for the world to know who she's speaking about. Because now from what she's saying, if I'm not mistaken, from what she's saying, it comes across that she feels like that. And if I'm not mistaken, like the man was taking advantage of the daughter. And that, this is my thinking. I'm not there, I don't know, but I'm just saying. What I'm thinking, I'm hearing is that the man was taking advantage of that daughter. Don't forget, it's not the man's biological daughter. You know that. That's the child she already had. So if you go by that, from what I'm hearing, I think I'm hearing that the man, from what she's saying, that the man was taking advantage of the girl. And the way she's saying that they now had twins, a boy and a girl. And she's saying that the female twin looks like her daughter. You understand? So, and she said they took the girl to Nigeria and then they came back. From what I think I'm hearing may be wrong. I'm just saying you can hear a statement and everybody can have different interpretations. This is what I think I'm hearing is that they took advantage of this girl to the point where she fell pregnant. And then she said they never took a child ever on holidays. Then they took the girl to Nigeria. Let's not forget, Nigeria is seen as a lawless country. Then, after they took her to Nigeria, and they are now claiming, this is what I said, that the girl ended her own life. Right? And then they're now claiming now they have twins, a boy and a girl. From what I'm hearing, it sounds like she's saying that those twins, the twins are the children of her daughter. So the girl is now silent for life. This story is so heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. And the part that I found even more painful is the power of silence. I don't know what you guys think about the aspect of the secrecy of you guys think about the aspect of secrecy, of not speaking up of exactly who they are, and bring this whole story out there. Let the world actually know. Let's not forget that this woman, she's alive to speak. If God forbid she's not allowed to speak anymore, who is going to share this story? I don't know, because I don't know. I don't even know what else to say. I don't know what you guys' opinions are. Whatever your opinions are, please leave them in the comment section below. With that, I'm going to say thank you for watching. Until the next time, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.